Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
You just need a skill, just leaving home and going somewhere, it already disconnects you. And we are so obsessed with all the computers, and we are engineers, and we are all the time in our world, and then that sort of breaks the kind of the routine, right? And so I think you have to do it, right? And to be honest, I haven't done it in my entire career, right? I've been a rat lab all my life, right? And I tolerate stress to a really a tremendous amount of levels, right?
Yep.
And also I'm realizing that many people don't, right? That many people have developmental problems. So I'm conscious with employees, colleagues, friends that not everybody has this tolerance, right?
Yep.
Because you put somebody 30 years in a lab, right? And then that's pretty much the careers of many of us engineers, right? And then we are lucky here to be in the United States. You go to China and places like this. I remember I spent a few weeks in China, and I saw these factories like Foxconn style, and there are these guys. They're in a room. It looks like a classroom.
Yeah.
And they spend the day assembling. And that's all they do. And then they go to their dorm, and they have these dorms that they sleep like 10 people in the same room.
Yep.
And they do that for like 10 years. And I was like, this is it's completely obfuscating these guys from real life, right? And they are tolerating it because they are educated. But you cannot put the kids here in this situation. That's why we don't have it here, right?
Yeah, I have one of my friends, he was in China. He goes, dude, the Chinese are going to win. I was like, well, what do you mean win? And he goes, I just got out of Unitary. It looks like a prison.
No.
They're not coming out. They're stuck there. So they have to win. They have no choice.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and they are very talented. They are
absolutely.
They are natural builders, Chinese. The problem I think they have is that the decisions are not taken. You and I and whoever, right? We're young. When we're young, we have a word. You can go to Samsung and say, like, you know what? I want to change here the ideas, and that's what we should be doing. And people are going to listen to you. That's my plan. And look, it's going to bring a new. We're going to say that. You present costs. You say this is going to save $2 million to my department per year or per month or whatever, right? And everybody's like, sure, do it, right? You don't have that choice in China, right? In China, is like somebody comes and says, we are a fish canning company, and then the prefecture has decided that this year we have to do humanoid robots.
Yep.
Right. So we have to ramp up, and then everybody's like, yes, sir. And nobody questions like, what's the business plan, or we were already making a lot of money before. Why we're going to switch to humanoids is given to you. And I think that flexibility on the individuals in our factories, in our environment, is a tremendous power that is the reason. I mean, I don't want to see it as winning or not winning. I think it's good to have the competition in China.
Yeah, competition's good. Collaboration's good. And
yeah. I mean, I don't think humanoids are going to disappear in China.
No.
Neither in the United States.
Yeah.
It's just going to be super duper everywhere, right?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty pro. Yeah, we can talk more about that soon.
Yeah.
I've been really enjoyed. I've talked with a lot of the teams over there, and I've enjoyed my interactions. They're hungry, they're driven, and it's fun.
Yeah. That's it's globalization and it's exciting, right? And you see, there's an ecosystem. There's a lot to learn in here, and then but I still think that the best ideas are. I mean, still we have monopoly on the AIs are coming from here, right? It's like China is developing some open source models and so on that are great. But they are sort of a copycat, right, of what we're developing here. So I don't see, and this is because of this sort of leadership of America.
Yeah,
that everybody, you are 19 years old, doesn't matter. You just finished high school, doesn't matter. You have an idea and you're pushing it forward, right? And in China, it's like, no, you are there in the assembly machine. You have an idea, just shut up and keep doing what you're doing.
And that's not just China. I mean, that's most of the world.
Most of the world.
Your crazy idea is not enough.
Yeah.
And locally, that's probably true. It's not enough. But globally, and you come over here with a bunch of crazy people who actually all came over here from other places because they wanted to build.
Yeah.
It just feeds itself. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and you feel empowered, right? It's like I landed in Silicon Valley and I was like, I couldn't believe it, right? It's like I have the power to think and to get my ideas fly, even if I am a little guy in this company.
Yeah. Blake, are we rolling?
Yeah, I didn't want to jump in. This is all so good.
So good. Well, today we have Luis Sentis in the house. I'm Joel Warner, and this is Corey McLeod. I have a short intro that I wrote for Dr. Luis Sentis. But yeah, Luis, I once had an investor describe you as a rock star of robotics. He said, look at him as you entered the conference room in Austin. White button-up shirt, slick black hair, and a walk of a man who just closed a secret deal with a big company, which would be thrusting humanoids from a nuance to the mainstream. To conserve time in the podcast, here's a blitz round of what you're involved with. Aptronics, DARPA, IEEE, 120 peer-reviewed papers, NASA, HCRL, UT Robotics, and a foundation set of IP that you've developed over the years for humanoids, and an ever-growing number of entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you, Joel, for the introduction. The only thing is that one number is wrong. It's not 120 publications, it's 200 publications.
Okay.
It has increased since the last time you look at
Claude AI, man.
Great to be here with Corey as well.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, we're really excited, and I think Corey probably has a lot of really good questions. Specifically, I'm a tech nerd, but Corey really comes from the entertainment industry, and I think there's some fascinating times ahead for humanoids and for robotics in general in entertainment, and we're excited to talk about that today.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So speaking of that,
fire it up.
Yeah. What do you think about entertainment and robotics?
Great question. Is something that to me has emerged as a major area that, in a way, I didn't expect to see it coming so quickly. And I think it's a convergence of maturity of the entertainment industry and the branding industry, especially. And I'm saying that because we've had machines, with advertisements for decades, right? Remember 35 years ago, we had all these cars, wrapped into brands and so on. And society, has responded to it, right? And that has allowed to mature the way that we present information, branding, and entertainment as well. For instance, you see now less cars outside with, Pizza Domino and others, because there was a sort of, you have to be very careful and you have to be cognizant of society, of the sensitivities, right? So you don't want to have all the cars in the United States advertising, soup or whatever it is, right? And that has allowed now to turn these mobility systems into being more careful and then entertaining in the right places. For instance, malls is one of the places, right? So we see, and I have conversations with people working in companies, and I guess I'm not going to mention them. Well, one of them I can mention it, Build-A-Bear. And Build-A-Bear, they have the malls and they have the stores, and they have actors dressed as Build-A-Bear. So now, those actors, they are, with fur, and they are kind of, suffering the day, right? So they want to have, humanoid bears, right? And that makes a lot of sense. And because you are in the mall, you are offering, I would call it sales/entertainment in the right environment. And of course, we see also a response from the actor communities. And I just returned from Beverly Hills, a wonderful community. I met a bunch of people in the area, actors, and there is this philosophical question that they are being faced with of, do they make sort of avatars and robots to the cloning themselves, right, in a way,
Mm-hmm.
or do they wait for somebody else to do it without their permission?
Yep.
Right. So actually, this is it's almost like just a one way forward, right? It's like either you do it, I do it, we do it as if we were in actors or something like this, or somebody's gonna copy us. And we saw what happened with some of our famous tech people in the world, that the replicas of them appear as dogs in San Francisco, right? So maybe
Oh, yes.
it would have been better that they would have done it themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've been following along those same lines Hasbro, and they've come up with a 6 wall.
I'm gonna take my shirt out.
Yeah, they're trying to be forward leaning into AI and robotics for full, character protection. Yeah, it's just fascinating. Yeah, but it's good that the market is turning. People are getting, they're getting ahead of the thing, and they're some really intelligent people are, putting framework together to make this happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hasbro's approach to keep the IP all in house, but but on the Build-A-Bear, that certainly stands out to me. That was another core aspect what Joel and I were seeing. Obviously the Disney Imagineers, and there's the big players that are doing stuff behind the scenes that will roll things out over time. But it's the relatively smaller guys like the Build-A-Bears were the real value that was seemingly being overlooked, that we wanted to really, really grasp.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, yeah, I mean, they're not small, right? They are large corporations. Some of the people behind. There is a lot of companies that they are maybe less visible, that are providing incredible branding services to that we all use, right? Without naming, but the opportunity. So I think branding and entertainment, they go together. And Build-A-Bear, I know personally one of the founders. I could say Norma Rosenheim. She's a fantastic woman. She's in her 80s, and she's at the on the helm, like leading and still raising money and pushing it forward, right? And that sort of their vision and their embracing of technology is outstanding. But at the same time, they are very aware of they have a public, right? And they have to satisfy it, and they have to actually make happy the very public, right? So, and I think this brings a little bit of what you were mentioning at the beginning. I'm indeed the founder of a laboratory called the Human Centered Robotics Laboratory.
Yes.
And it's called Human Centered because robotics, to me, doesn't have really a meaning and a sense if we are not, fulfilling our basic needs and our basic desires, including entertainment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very important that we put that first, right? And when we use roles for entertainment, we are thinking about not removing the job for actors, and for what we're doing is we are delivering a service that otherwise would not exist, right? If you okay, Hollywood has wonderful actors, but now you are in a little town in the middle of nowhere, and you want to have an entertainment moment, and you cannot have it at the level of of these incredible actors, right? So that actually extends the runway for all of these communities, right? And extending it to basically democratizing entertainment, acting, branding, kids' choices, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Back to remember robotics conversation, Corey, like having that character that's true to life talking to it. I think that would be really interesting.
With the human interaction?
Yeah, human interaction. Yeah, you I think early on in your conversation was like, why Jurassic Park was so amazing is because you had a real animatronic dinosaur you were interacting with.
Yeah. Well, your point of these smaller communities, and just where you're able to scale. Brad Pitt can only be in one place at one time.
Right.
But I don't know, Batman. We use him as an example sometimes, but you can have 1,000 of those just scattered about doing viral marketing
Right.
or doing podcasts or whatever. I don't know. Insert. But you doing performances, doing road shows. But like I said, the alternative as it currently stands, it's very limited in scope. But for us, it was definitely more of that OpEx approach to things, where robotics, where you guys have struggled in that vein, where it's such a heavy burden on the capex.
Right. Yeah. I think you're touching on something very important. CapEx is being simplified. I was at the Gigafactory recently, and and companies like Aptronic and others, right? They are already talking. It's beyond the technology. It's now the manufacturing and how to make it cheaper and cheaper. And we're going to see the tendency and the scaling and so on. But the content, I think the content is gonna now be the question, right?
Yeah.
How do we create content? How do we create this emotional response? So it's not about the emotions of the robots, and there's questions about the robots are conscious or not. Who cares about that, right? What we care is about, do they touch you? Do they touch us, right? Do they make us a better moment, right? And we're all flipping phones and kind of watching things that are not interactive, that makes us less creative. And now we have this opportunity of this content on demand that that is not, LLMs are wonderful. We're all using them. I really praise them. I live with them, but they don't give me this tick on a connection, right? And now we have this opportunity with these entertainment options. And we see companies coming out there. We're collaborating with an incredible company that is, it might be reading something that is script, right? But then you control the emotion, right? Like saying with passion, the cry when you read it, be happy, right? And be depressed, right? And then you change it as you go, right? And that creates the connection that you need for better interaction, right? So that's a new dimension that we have right now. So I think we're moving away from technology, and we're moving into content.
Yes,
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah.
We keep on saying the campfire experience.
Yeah, no, we're physical beings. We need tactile experiences, and where there was so much, it was necessary from a technological standpoint, but there was such a push to drive people into the tech, pulling you into the matrix, where for us it's it's the complete opposite. You need to bring the tech into the physical world.
Exactly.
And well, last time we saw each other, we gave you a tour of the virtual production studio. Was that your first experience, one of those?
I think it was at ILM, maybe more than a decade ago. They were actually filming Pirates of the Caribbean. There must have been like one or two, the first movie or the second movie, and there was a lot of immersion already. I was in 1998. I was already taking courses at Stanford on mocap and hand animation. So I've been exposed, and I have always a facet of me has been fascinated by entertainment. But that was a sort of a 2026 version of what I saw at ILM, and I was so impressed. The parallax effects. I saw some of your footage of things like probably cannot mention that of space, an interview in space, and I was like, this actually, I buy it. This, I see that, and it inspires me. Again, it's not about like, oh, it's impressive. No, I am inside as an external person watching it. I'm inside. I would love to be there as well, right? I would love to be in the studio, talking to these characters, and if we add robotics to that, even better. It can be new forms of entertainment as well. So it's not necessarily, a theater. You are outside. There is now the actors and entertainment is around you, and we have this opportunity now everybody has this immersion. It's a physical immersion.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. And a lot of the conversations with our guest and conversations internally is the point of the immersion actually is to bring us together as people and to learn a little bit about ourselves. And the robot is just a tool to help you enter into that story. So if that robot truly believes it's Napoleon, then you're like transported, hundreds of years ago to France.
I was actually thinking about Napoleon the other day. I don't know why I don't really have a fascination for Napoleon because he has been sort of a mixed sort of dictator, right?
Right.
But it's an interesting story. And I was trying to, the other day I was searching, how was Napoleon truly in a day-to-day interaction?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a few instances of comments of the people working around him that they actually mention candidly how was his more mundane kind of life. But I'm thinking that, I don't want to see the big conquest and the big books that have been written about him, Tolstoy and so on.
Yeah.
I want to see the person behind those things,
Yes.
right? And that now we have the ability of sort of capturing a little bit of that sort of behavior and natural sort of personality.
Yeah.
And now, of course, we enter into privacy, and that there's a distortion now of the being. I was making a case also to my son the other day, and then we're talking about how long robots will have a character.
Yeah.
It will be it's a 10 years thing. It's a 100, it's 1,000 years, right?
Right.
If you make sort of a replica of Napoleon or Michael Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had this kind of interesting, deep discussion, right? And I said it's a business proposition. As long as so you have a Michael Jackson robot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is a proof. Now we had the movie. The movie I think was a success, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the nephew that was playing the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now, but you could make a humanoid as Michael Jackson. Let's say it's approved by the family, right?
Yes.
And then now it enacts Michael Jackson. Of course, it's going to evolve, and it's not going to have the same. The nuances are going to be different, the perks and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that is in a way it survives because there is a club of fans. There is first their family, but then everybody alive that knew who Michael Jackson is. Is that going to survive these entertainment robots beyond everybody that has ever seen Michael Jackson in real life, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, if you are allowing people to enter that character and then bringing beyond, bringing to the next level of existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it was kind of an exercise of the life, the lifespan of a entertainment humanoid robot,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it has happened to us as well. Like your family might say, "Hey, I want to have a Joel robot," and beyond your lifespan, right? And then maybe you keep on being sort of you exist now in another embodiment, right? As long as people want to keep you because you mean something to those people, right?
Yeah.
But also means a transformation of your character, right? So I don't have really a say or a thought there. I just think that is an interesting conversation for having some good coffee or beer and with friends. I don't know what do you guys. What is the life? What is the span of a machine and then in entertainment character, right? Mickey Mouse, right? Is how old it is? 100 years, 120 years? I don't know.
Public domain now.
It's public domain, right?
Wow.
How long we're gonna have Mickey Mouse? As long as people didn't meet Walt Disney in person. But the kids still love this guy, right? And it's going to keep on. It's 100 years from now. Mickey Mouse is going to be relevant. They're going to be humanoids.
Mm-hmm.
All depends on their campaigns and how much it touches their soul. But okay, bringing the conversation to you. What did you guys think?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. For us, the value is the IP.
Yes.
And the robot, be darned. It doesn't matter. The form factor, we can change all that. But yes, the real value is in the IP.
Mm-hmm.
And
that brings value to the robot.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. Well, the lifespan of things and merging a couple of conversations here, but the Napoleon example,
Mm-hmm.
We've ran with that numerous times. But how about the LLM model of who Napoleon is? And one thing Joel always gets excited about is that I want to talk to 20-year-old Napoleon. I want to talk to 50-year-old Napoleon.
Right.
And to build that model, and then turn it loose for writers, for stage performances. Again, that's just an example, but that's so exciting.
Yeah, and what I also really get excited about is we've had this revolution of AI, we can call it, and the conversations have been about AI stealing to ingest by a few people over all the art. And I think Corey and I are very passionate about, wait a minute, if you make the canonical like Napoleon character, you bring in and honor the artist, you bring in and you honor the historian, so you're actually very inclusive to build this, because you want the best historian doing this, you want the best artist. And so that intellectual property, if AI allows us to flatten the curve, so you don't have all this distribution and all these things that make it happen. Now the person can contribute directly to this, and that value for the industry standard best Napoleon, it really is really cool.
Right. I think that goes into sort of the intrinsic Napoleon, how well you can capture it, and that's very disputed, especially for historical figures.
Yes.
It doesn't. You don't have to go to Napoleon. It happens in families where you want to have a memory of an ancestor, and there's a dispute of how was the ancestor. Actually, I'm now talking to my family. We're talking about an ancestor of us.
Yes.
We're trying to find who they really were, these ancestors, and then I barely met them in my lifetime, but then the people that met them, they have actually different stories about them. No, that person was like this. And no, the other person is like, that was not their values. That was different, right? So I think it's going to be very difficult to find the real person, right?
Oh, I completely agree.
And maybe the real person doesn't know who the real person is either, because values fluctuate. As you say, 20 years old Napoleon, 50 years old Napoleon. The 50 years old Napoleon will talk to the 20 years old Napoleon. I don't know if they would recognize each other, right? Or, as a matter of fact, ourselves, right? But I think the effort is worthwhile. You need to be sensitive with historical memory. Questions, the kind of twisting history, things, facts that happen, especially war and geopolitical, these geopolitical figures, right? It's kind of really hard, right? So, but I think that there's a demand. And then the whole point is that there's a demand for entertainment, right? These people are bored. People are bored. They work and then you might say, okay, here is the story, right? There are webcams around the world, and they're all pretty crappy. Except, so sometimes I turn on the webcam in Hawaii. I want to be in Hawaii, and then I turn on one of the beaches. Unfortunately, they are always like, blurry, but this happens all over the world except in Japan. In Japan, the cameras are perfect, right? You can see, you can turn on in Shibuya, and then you see the crossing, and I stare at them, and I'm like, I look at the people, and I get so much entertainment, right? This is the vicarious experience, right?
Yeah.
So this is for anonymous people, right? But if you had a peek into historical figures, that would be, what would be the mind of Napoleon? I want to see an emulation of that, or even I want to have Napoleon here and then talking about his mundane kind of daily life. I think there is a value.
Yep.
We have to exploit it in a sensitive sense, and then of course if they are, in a way you say, like, where your ancestors are not alive anymore, and you are not really touching what the French thought or what the Germans thought or whatever, then it's free range to have these political figures out there. I do support it. I don't know. Do you guys have plans of reenacting moon landing or something? Or
no? Those have just always been examples that we've just tossed around internally. But I mean, to your point, absolutely. In spite of that, again, to your point, it's an endeavor worth taking. But beyond that, I think we're, again, just thinking this through, the real value the robotic IPs that we developed will be the IPs that are developed through robotics. Because yes, to your point of we're trying to make a copy of somebody from history, and there's going to be debate of how accurate it is, or even if it's a pre-existing Bluey. Bluey's always our go-to example there too.
Yep.
It's just a pre-existing cartoon character. There's no right or wrong per se, except for what's already been pre-established. We know who she is. But the issue there is bringing her into the world that we know. And the way lighting behaves on her skin, it's not what you see on the show. And so it's going to be a little off-putting.
Expectation, yeah.
Yep, to the children, they're like, oh, well, that's not quite her. But the IPs that are developed through robotics, that's where it'll really sing.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's what you know. That's what, from the ground floor, that's what you have a relationship with, is the robot.
Yep.
Foundation base.
So what kind of sort of sensitivity issues you are facing? We're trying to, bring something to life. Is that, you see that there's a lot of legal work that has to be done. You see a lot of openness. Do you? Yeah, I mean, and obviously the movie world has, they make a biopic or something. We see that constantly, and Freddie Mercury, whatever, right? Is how difficult it is, and it's something that should be scrutinized better, or there should be a little bit more freedom for this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just same as everything else that we're discussing here. It's pioneering uncharted waters to whatever end.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's been going on for a few decades now, but
Yep.
I mean, a big one, a big case was Marilyn Monroe. Her estate.
Right.
She recently became public domain, or whatever the legal term was there. But her likeness, it was out there for use. So, and that's just been the past 10 years or so. And so that there's trying to figure all that out. But yeah, dealing with estates and getting approvals, it's to each his own. To each, dealing with Michael Jackson's estate versus, Tolkien's estate. Like these very, very different. And so you really are just dealing with the individual families.
Yeah, and we have a strong passion to enable creatives for sure.
Right.
And this goes back to a conversation I had with my father-in-law. I recently drove with him and my mother-in-law. It was 3.5 hours. And he goes, I gotta show you this. It's gonna be amazing. So he plugs in this USB stick with, I don't know, like it was like 3 days worth of audio. And he goes, I grew up listening to this radio, and here's the characters. And it was good. It was masterfully done.
I love it. But like BBC style dramas, or
it was like he was big into westerns.
There was a radio. I mean, there was entertainment before, and you would imagine everything in your head, right?
Yeah. And what I realized was he had the radio, and then the media form changed out, and then my parents had early TV, and they also had the characters in comic books. But when this new art form comes out, or new storytelling medium comes out, that generation falls in love with that new characters. We don't have to regurgitate the past.
Right.
It's an opportunity for the new and to restart storytelling all new. And I think that fresh start allows us to have a lot of opportunity for new intellectual property.
I think this is a great framing. I love it. Yeah, and disclosure here, you guys are more advanced in the entertainment industry. I built humanoids. I made my IP, and my inventions have been, we were struggling to walk and manipulate just a few years ago, right? And we're crossing that kind of, it's staggering, shocking, the advancement. I would say that robots started walking well, 24 months ago.
Yeah.
And then now, actually, I declare 2 days ago that we've crossed the uncanny valley, the famous uncanny valley of, liking things that are very much looking like us, but they are machines, right? And we saw that from companies in China showing robots that are very very alike to us. So now we're, the video killed the radio show, right? Now we are, I don't know how we're gonna call it, right? Is the humanoid killed the whatever the TV show or
Right.
whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's happening, right? And I really like how you frame it on an IP opportunity.
Yes.
Rather than an IP opportunity, I prefer to see it as a creative opportunity, right?
Thank you.
Exactly, right? Because we are creators here, right? It's like
Yes.
IP does all these connotations about money. We are all happy to make money and help others to make money, but it's really launching your creative spirit, right?
Mm.
And now, suddenly, what do you have, right? First of all, you have perspective, right? It's like I make an example that if a robot is here, right? Is there, right? And it's more like an acting, you're in the theater or whatever. And now it comes towards you and you are like, you have all these reactions, proximity and so on. And I like it, not like it. The robot can give you something and say, touch this. How do you feel about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's it sits in front of you. You play chess, you play domino, you play whatever game, right?
Yeah.
And then so it gives you that. It's not a parallax. Well, in a way, it is a parallax, right? It's a parallax, on the perspective, and it's a parallax front and back, right?
Mhm.
And that's an essential reaction, neural reaction of us of like, wow, this is really it's really activating part of my brain that is IP for entertainment, right? Of how it comes, right? And now you have on top of that, you have the gesturing, and I think you have also the facial expressions, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily
Yes.
exactly a replica, right? It can be a bear robot or something like that, right? And you are like, look at that, how he's smiling, and he's not a 2D screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's now a volumetric thing, right? And it opens the mouth, and you see, and that's a IP as well.
Yes.
So there's tremendous opportunity of content, and the uploading that content and the timing into these physical machines that no other means of a projection can give you. You can augment it with the parallax screens, LED. This is wonderful, but you still need that effect for the people there in the room.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm as a father who's a young child. I'm very excited to experience these new things that we can have, share together. Because I grew up, my dad was like, "Oh, check this out," or "Check this movie out," and it was like, "Well, you've already experienced this." So like I'm coming into it with your expectations,
Right,
and
right.
I think going forward, I'm very excited to do new things with my son, new experiences like that. So, and making it 3D, it has all this blending in of being transported into another world. You're not in your living room, you're not in the theater, you're in that world, and that's something I'm just like
Right. How did it feel to
incredibly
be?
excited.
How was Texas in 1824?
Oh,
Right.
right.
Well, let's bring a little bit of augmentation, and let's
Mhm.
bring characters that it gives opportunity also for. I remember my sister had a doll, and it was a gigantic doll,
Yeah.
and she would spend all this time dressing it, and so you might have these characters, and you say, well, I'm going to dress them as a kind of the period.
Yes.
And then I'll just reenact, how was life in those times, right?
Yep.
It's an encyclopedia that you can customize it, and is not kind of reading from a script.
Mhm.
It's kind of
Yep.
creating the style of the period
Yep.
with you, not only on the communication and talking,
Mhm.
but whatever your creativity is, you can dress it up that way. You can give objects around the props. I think we saw props in your place. I was like, oh my goodness, this is heaven for anyone, right? It's like I want to have a room full of props, right? So maybe home to the future, in the attic, we'll have props and bring the
Yep.
period, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those guardrails of the narrative, but so much play within that. Yeah, the Westworld aspect. It
Yep.
just got me excited.
Right on. So,
Well,
Mr.
and
Nolan, if you want to come on the podcast, we'd love to talk with you.
and just the guardrails of a narrative also allow for a really high degree of flexibility. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking about replayability
Yeah.
Customizing experiences. So, just like individual experiences can be tailored to the taste of who's actually experiencing them, or you can also just like really spread that out a bunch, just amongst a bunch of different audience members, right? It's just like, hey, like we're actually able to tailor it to the person. We're able to have a variety of things. You'll be able to do it again and still feel like you're getting a good experience out of it.
Well, no two experiences would ever be exactly alike.
Yes.
So yes, you take your son back next week.
Yep.
To experience it all over again.
And
what content do you guys think that, I don't know, you talk about a lot about IP, and how do you think content is going to be redefined? We saw a lot of creativity in the streaming platforms, and Netflix was a revolution. It's still a revolution, and that changed it actually increased the entertainment fan of the entire world.
Yes.
And people now have 25 shows every single day they can watch, when before we had one every month or every year, right? What do you see, U.S. creators of what content? How is that? What is the commercial front of this and the consumption side of this new form of entertainment?
That's an interesting one. So often we kind of feel, or at least I do, feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth on so much of this, because we're also very passionate about what Joel's point from earlier of like this is about the human. We want community. We want people to have good lives. But where so much of that, and where an issue at this exact point in time is the fragmentation of entertainment. Yes. There's stuff everywhere. Whereas, back in the 90s, everybody was talking about, the latest episode of Seinfeld, and there was community there. Everybody could gather around. So there's parts of this where there's just to be conscious of it. That there is potential that it is being more individualistic, but at the same time, if it's a big production, you are still engaged, and you're participating in the moment. Unlike watching Seinfeld and then gathering around the water cooler, you're watching Seinfeld, the new Seinfeld together. You're playing it out as a participant in whatever the show may be.
Yeah. My personal opinion, like today we are in the U.S., and that's been shaped by a lot of different things. So we go back in time, maybe movie theaters. It was very expensive to get going. It was nuanced, so you have bigger areas where you can go and that's not a. Used to be movie theaters where you go and you can hang out. They have the lobbies, intermissions, all this stuff. It was very community based. You go back to more radio, but like U.S. was spread out a lot, so there's not a lot of like. I'll use opera for an example. In the U.S., we have very large opera houses, so people congregate because they made it very expensive to do. It's not a community thing. You just come in, you listen to it, you maybe talk with somebody maybe. But if you go back in time and history, back to Europe, you would have your town opera house, your community theater, and you would go to it. That's where your only entertainment was part of the community and singing stuff like that. And I think there's going to be a reemergence of that kind of I hope there's a reemergence. So you're going to have your local immersive experience you can go to, and you can take your family there.
Maybe you gain you regain sort of control of time. I think you touched on something very important. That is it's a sequential process. You go to see a movie, and then you must, you don't have a freedom of saying, let's stop the movie. Let me talk. I just met a friend here. Let's talk. Or you go to the theater or the opera, whatever. You are on a scripted timing, right?
Yes.
Now you have the opportunity of saying, like, well, I'm going to have here, an opera with my two robots. I'm going to invite all my neighborhood, right? And I'm going to have opera in the park, right? And,
yes.
And guess what? We're gonna tailor that to the, I know my neighbors. Yes. And we're gonna say that every 10 minutes the opera is gonna stop, and we're all gonna, drink tea and coffee and just chat, right? and that, and it continues being high quality, right?
Absolutely.
So you are adapting the entertainment
Yes.
to the community,
Mhm.
right? And what we happen now, you go to a movie, you're sitting on that seat, and then you cannot, my friends say I'm going to change, right? Or the opera, and I love opera. We go to the opera regularly when I move around the world. And I was like, well, when you go to France, you cannot stop and say like, hey, wow, what do you understand about that, right? You don't have, you have to kind of put everything in your head and talk about it afterwards. You cannot have the discussion during the time. So I think that's also another, dimension of what you're talking about, of how it's not the IP only on how you deliver, it's how you consume and how you personalize
Mhm.
that entertainment.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, and
Well,
even like taking breaks, like you just said, I think in the future we can even loop those breaks into the narrative,
mm,
and so it's not like a here's showtime and here's social time. It's all that will be one continuous experience.
Mhm.
right, right. I mean, you always have the funny friend that makes jokes, right? And it's not like it's continuously making jokes. It's like stopping. Hopefully, he's a good listener, right?
Hmm.
And then suddenly throws the joke in the middle, right? And you laughs and then stops, and so he's adapting to make everybody participate, right? Uh,
Yeah, and I think one of the beautiful things about all of this is we're talking about a healthy experience that we want to go be part of and to create. But the thing is, I'm very excited about society right now, as I feel like the next generation is actually wanting that for themselves. My generation was born into that, and we're like just giving into it. And now that I'm older, I'm like, this is not very healthy. I don't like the way I consume content or how easy it is, and it takes intentionality to do that. And I see that, and you see it in the market too. The Bumble, Tinder, all these dating apps, it's crashing. It's crashing down because people are realizing, wait a minute, it's life is not that easy when it comes to social interactions, knowing who my neighbor is, and I see people wanting this, needing this, and I see the people like us wanting to provide it, and it's a great opportunity and a great time and time, space and time.
yeah, I think you brought a new dimension. I've been married for a long time, so I sort of I don't have the Tinders and the Match.com and so on.
Hmm.
Um, Available as they are today, and kind of swiping over many profiles, um, and there's a lot of sensitivity of presenting yourself and fears of opening who you truly are.
Yes.
And then I think I'm respectful for this, right? Not everybody has the same level of confidence and putting themselves up front, right? And I think all these entertainment bots can serve as I'm being a character. Maybe I don't have my physical characteristics yet, but then I'm being exposed to other characters
Hmm.
in these platforms, right? And then there's first an interaction through is kind of this plateau effect where you're in the cave watching the reflection of what is happening in the real world, right?
Hmm.
And to be honest, I know that everybody wants everybody to be highly social and highly open, but the truth is that we have people in all sides of the spectrum, and all of
Yes.
them, they deserve a chance, right? So
Yes.
again, this entertainment, these avatars, right? They give a
Yes.
chance to. What are your thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Is that gonna make it better in this kind of dating, finding a partner world? Is entertainment playing a role there?
We actually had a last podcast we had with Dr. Javad
Mm-hmm.
Gatabi, and it was fascinating because we dove in deep how certain individuals. I'm an engineer, so maybe my EQ is not up to par with some people. Um, and I could struggle sometimes with like, are you happy? Are you sad with me? And there's definitely people on the spectrum there. That's why it's called a spectrum. Um, but we were fascinating with like he's very focused on sensors. How can we use robotics and sensors to really help people engage? And you can track everything because it took maybe 15 years to really learn empathy in my marriage. I think everyone would tell me I'm a nice guy, but there's a difference between nice and caring and loving and empathetic,
Right.
and learning how to do that. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people on my side of the fence that are like needing that. and actually wanting that, we're not talking about manipulation. We're just saying like, hey, here's a tool for me to grow closer to the people who I love. And I'm going to pick this experience of a cartoon or a Christmas or something, that this pilgrimage I'm taking my family on to learn and grow closer to them. It's not to entertain them. The primary is fun. If you have a 2-year-old or like 2-year-old, it's probably entertainment. I just need to breathe. But I think the opportunity there is to grow closer to one another is fantastic. That's why you take people to a scary movie. Like, because you can have that conversation later. Oh my gosh, did that happen? Or even movies in general, it's that conversation later. But what if you could actually experience that in real time and have these tools help you even draw those conversations out, draw those experiences out? So those are the things that we're really excited about.
I think customs and habits, right? That you might not, you saw your family dynamics, you saw your wife family dynamics, and so on, but that's all your world, right? And then what is, if there is some, as you said, engineers, we tend to be, introverts, we tend to be, sometimes we're more connected to the machine than to the people. So you need to see as a role other characters that how would they behave. I think I'm lacking a little bit of connection sometimes, or whatever it is. Well, what would be the case, right? So you can enact that. It's a variant of entertainment, right? It's not entertainment exactly, it's education. Well, I think it all goes back to, people ask me, what is the solution for the whole world? And I think it's education, right? Empathy, obviously, it's very important. And if you detect that me or you or whoever, right, has a little bit less, and to be honest, engineers, we tend to have kind of a lot of gaps there, right? Is be educated by seeing an enaction of that, right? If you see a theater play and you're like, look at that, but now the theater play is in front of you on how to express that emotion.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, I mean, we already do that. Like, we play games. We do couples games.
Right.
We do family games.
Asking questions.
And this is just an extension of that. It's not to create a manipulation. It's not create another crazy marketing scheme to sell something. It's like, this is an opportunity to get deeper while still being taken away into a new environment, which I think is incredibly important.
Right.
We as humans get so attached to what the environment is and how we can't get to the next level, the thought process. Like sleeping, the number one thing about if you want to get better sleep, take the TV out of your room, and then do not associate your bedroom with bad sleep. So if you can't sleep, you get up and move to another room.
Yeah.
It's the association of that space. And so if we can detach and to go to these immersive environments and use these stories and narratives to transport us to a place, we can become better humans and better to each other.
Yeah, I think that's the whole game is again education, right? And it's not education about engineering, and it's education about the social interaction, about empathy, about caring. I think caring, and EQ, I think is missing a lot, and maybe being less utilitarian, right? And maybe I'm thinking of another variant of entertainment, right? You could say what would be me or that person if it were to behave that other way, right? So you can also sort of simulate that. What would happen if I would spend more time in the garden, right? My wife loves gardening, and I don't, right? And but what would be if I was more in the garden, right? Would the one thing that you have actually being in the garden or in the front yard is that you meet the neighbors, right?
Yes.
Like so now I'm kind of going more outside, and we have a bench, right? And I sit there, doing nothing or pretending that I'm doing something in the garden, right?
Yeah.
And then guess what? Every 10 minutes, a neighbor comes.
Yep.
And otherwise, you are a recluse that never meets the neighbors, right? So, well, I don't know how to put it together, right? But in a way, what would be me if I would try this, right? So you could, it could be, we could say, like, make a movie of me, and you can do it, with Runway and all these softwares that are coming out, right, of making movies about alternative you, right?
Yep.
And I do it sometimes, right? So, but the physical, I think the physical um, um, performance of that alternate you is another chance. I don't think I have the whole story together, right? I could see it as another, what will be the effect on the neighbors, and if they saw you, well, how about they see my robot for a while, and then the robot says, the real guy is inside, let me bring him back, right? You better bring him, right? Today, Joel actually came to my little boat, and he was like, "Hey, I'm waiting outside." I was like, "Come in," and I was in a meeting, right? And he showed up in the room, right? I was like a bit shocked, but then I was happy. I was like, Joel got to see my cave space, right? And that approaches both of us and created an empathy, at least on my side, right? And I think on yours, right? And I was like, I feel confident that Joel can come to my very secret space where I open my secret laptop and I have 6-hour meetings every day, right?
Yeah. And it wasn't, that experience went on. You gave me water.
Yeah.
Gave me something to eat.
Well, yeah. And that's the basic, that's the meaning of life, really.
Yeah.
Let's chat here. Let's look at things. And what do you think about this decoration? And that's all it is, right? And that connection.
Yeah. And Corey, we've talked to what if you had a restaurant and it's the 1200s China, and you could go there and experience another story.
Yeah, but that's, what you guys are describing here, what my mind goes to, still the emphasis that we are the protagonists in the story that's being told here. Touching on the, people scared of robotics or AI taking our jobs, or this is, the robots are here to fill in the world and to craft that space and help you, again, those guardrails. But it's all about you. It's all about the person, and to lift you up, build your spirit. That's that's what it's all about.
Well said, and that's what we have to tell people, right? I think who mentioned that? One of you, right? That you want to be in another city and then interact with people, right? So, I feel comfortable with the idea that there will be a robot that I can sort of teleport, right? And in the avatar sense, and it has some of my mannerism and I can interact with, I cannot fly to Tokyo and to Egypt, every day, right?
Yep.
But I want to interact with those people, right?
Yes.
So I think that sort of transportation is important. I want to be sitting in a coffee place in Hokkaido and having some ramen and then talking to the locals. And I want to be sincere. Look, I am sort of a connection to some guy elsewhere, right? But I'm actually connected to him, and I want to learn about you. I want to make friends, right? So we are augmenting this friendship, or you are working like crazy at home, and you didn't shower that day, and you still want to go downtown and be sitting in a lounge, talking to the entrepreneur next to you, right? So I think all of this is augmenting people, and now bringing here a bit of the marketing part of it. This is shocking, right? A few years ago I used to say humanoid robots will cost you $3,000, and people were like, and that was the time that we built Valkyrie. You have to pay $2 million for a Valkyrie. Then the Korean robots, the humanoids, had to sell for $1 million, and then we sold at $250,000 for agility robots, and then we're still at $250,000. I was saying they will cost you $3,000, and you will be able to have good, great embodiments and walking and gestures and talking, and people were like, "No way, McKay," right? And now reality is that way, right? So you say you can connect, you can have robots downtown, like same as you have e-bikes, right?
Yep.
And they are there for a rental, and then you are at home or you are in a rural area, you cannot really drive to the fancy place in New York City. You want to listen to jazz and be there and then be dancing, right? And now you have this opportunity. It's really augmenting all of our senses,
Yes.
right? And it's really that augmentation, not replacement. You could not do it otherwise, right? And we're doing it for everyone, right? For a low price. We're not replacing the band playing jazz. We are present now. I say that because I was in New York listening to jazz. I had such an incredible time. I would like to be in that nightclub every Saturday. I cannot.
Yes.
And then maybe a speaker is not enough.
Yes.
I wanna dance with the people there. I wanna drum. I wanna be there.
Well, I mean, to me, I don't think anyone has said this specific word yet, but it just sounds like we're talking about building community.
Yes.
And especially in the kind of postmodern world we live in, there's a very big overlap of the Venn diagram of culture and entertainment. And both of those things just seem to drive each other and are really fundamentally core to building community and connecting with people.
What a great thing you just said, right? Is it's not only about human centeredness, it's about community centeredness, right? Is you can explore and you are not really a person of the world if you haven't seen the world and the habits of other people and now you have this opportunity, right? And then robots, they have mobility, right? Again, you are in Times Square. And then you go to this lounge, go to this restaurant, and you go to this jazz bar, right? And you can do it. I mean, that's a little bit science fiction, but I don't think we're too far from that, right? And with this pricing that we have now and this better 6G communications and latencies being I think a round trip, New York City is maybe 30 milliseconds of so you can be 30 milliseconds away from exploring that community, right? And I can see only, this is different than Facebook, right? At Facebook, you are part of a community, but it's not, the latency is tremendous, right?
Yep.
We're talking about closing the gap on latency and being more part of that interaction, that physical interaction, if you will, as well.
Yeah, and do you know the founder of VLC, the free software? He's coming up with even this faster latency reduction. I think their target's between 3 and 7 milliseconds.
Right.
So it's coming.
Visionary. I was listening to him in one of the podcasts, I forgot now, and really a visionary that all the protocols he connected, and VLC has been so flexible.
Yeah.
He's coming up with the connecting any mobility, any mobile visual interface and directly connecting. That's incredible.
Really
That's incredible.
Yeah, I sent him a message like 3 days ago. I said, "Thank you for building this. I am so thankful."
Oh yeah. We need more of that.
Absolutely. Oh man, that's really exciting stuff.
Well, and I think, I mean, to the point that's discussed here, right, is another thing. I was chair of Good Systems at the University of Texas, and I'm still part of Good Systems, and we are a community of people, not engineers. Actually, engineers were a minority, and that came with the idea that it should be both outbound and inbound, right? The same goes for companies, and you don't make a company because you think that's the right thing to do. It's because you have the voice of the community, right? Because you think the community or the customers or whatever it is giving you feedback.
Yes.
So it's not that we think that we need to have replicas of people or rental robots that you are in Cairo and you can see the pyramids and whatever. Is that, do people want that, right? Do the customers and the users, and then does Cairo citizens want to see robots out there, right? Which I think is something that I haven't done a study on. Well, we did a study called Community Centered Robotics. We have mobile robots on campus. And the whole idea was like, well, you have delivery robots in big numbers or inspection robots about the buildings, how sound they are, whatever. Does it bother you? And we even attach electrodermal sensors, people which measure stress and sweat. And we had no robots, 1, 2, 3 robots. And actually we published this paper that just last week appeared as a highlight in Science Robotics, I believe it was. So we need to really ask society, right? It's like,
yes,
we see now a lot of autonomous driving, And it's funny because you have one car, one Zoox or Waymo, and you're really happy. Now you see two. The other day I saw 7 of them, one after the other, and they are thinking about an invasion. Okay, it's like, what happens if there's a majority of autonomous cars than normal cars, right? And I enjoy it. I'm comfortable with it, but maybe other people are not, right?
Yes.
What happened? You have a humanoid robot on walking around. Everybody is an R1 or a G1 robot that's happening in Capital Factory.
Yep.
Everybody's happy. What if there are 2,000 in a Second Street or what is the reaction? So it's very, very important we do it carefully and people first. And if there is a rejection, we really need to think about it so that's why how are you going to stop it? Are you going to have regulation? I don't think so. So ultimately it's education of people. They say, like, you know what, I have a company, I'm launching robots, and I'm seeing that people are getting really bothered, right?
Yes.
So I'm educated, and I am going to slow down, or I'm going to do it in a different. I'm going to be the voice of the consumer, customer, the community, the VOC, right?
Yes.
And because I am educated, I'm going to respond to that because I have empathy with the community. That's a key thing.
Yeah, I've launched robots in group sizes of thousands of people.
See on
a daily basis.
You know the workers there, right?
And I would spend hours every day hiding and watching people's interactions. I've studied the nonverbal, verbal, positive, negative, body language, and it was very important for us. We're successful now, but it was very, very important for us to understand what people needed to know about their robot. So form factor is important, but intent. People see a robot, the form factor there tells a story, and the robot as it moves tells a story, and how it moves tells a story, and knowing where the robot's going. If the robot doesn't have a screen and it's just walking straight toward you, humans take the narrative, and the worst thing is 700% more going to be there.
Yep.
So if you do not have a clear intention and understanding of what that object, it doesn't have to be that. It could be somebody who's a bad person coming toward you.
Right.
And we see this all the time. Like, it looks like a thug. We're describing people in dangerous terms. But this form factor, once we started doing stuff on the robot, lights and signs, so people knew what the intent of the robot was. It wasn't coming toward them. It was going to go around them because it's going over there. Little tiny things were very important, but spending those 6 months really being a witness of how the effect of that embodiment had on people was
You're
important.
bringing so many thoughts. I think we have an opportunity here of what the car industry, the automotive industry has not done. Which is giving expression. Cars don't have expression. You are driving from here to Lakeway, and all the cars look the same. They have red lights, they have blinkers. That's all, right? So you don't know the emotion of the person inside, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say that it would be nice nowadays, and I understand the sensitivity of traffic and so on, and the laws, but then a smiley, blinking, emojis. I would expect that today cars would have emojis.
Yep.
And it would have been maybe some standard of the 100 emojis that you're allowing and so on. And I'm in a rush. My health. The family member is in pain. I have to rush.
Yes.
Right, and so on. Right, that will help a lot. Right, but now we have the opportunity, as you said, with your people. Your factory, right? That's the kind of your robots, right? It's the kind of emotion. Right now you're bringing new visualizations and so on. And with humanoids, we have this opportunity of you might be walking kind of more, and it's not that you don't care about people. Is that and you maybe speak and say like, I'm sorry, my friend had a child, right? And I need to rush, right? And so that's the opportunity we have of being more communicative, basically, right?
I drive a lot for work, and I realized that I started getting angry when people were cutting me off. So I made it a policy. I'm not going to look at the vehicle anymore. I'm going to look at the person.
Right.
And I don't really have a big deal with being angry.
Yeah.
Usually it comes off like they weren't paying attention. I see their phone. Okay, they probably need to get off of that. Was a bad thing they did right there. They can kill somebody.
Right.
But I'm talking to the person and I'm seeing the intent. I'm seeing that. And it's just so healthy for me knowing that person can see me. And a lot of times they're driving recklessly and they see that I'm seeing, and that changes everything.
Right.
So that nonverbal verbal reaction, the vehicle can't do it. That they're driving, but they can. And so the robots and, as we were saying, the vehicles and whatever platform it is, getting that communication down to the ones around them is as important for intent and knowing that there is a reaction. I am seen.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another IP that could come out, right? Of all of this human machine development, right? And what we learn about, with the delivery robots that are out there, right? That I was in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills precisely, and it was very funny. There was a bunch of delivery robots. Actually, they got stuck completely. Two of them came, and then there was a pole here in front, and then so it was like either a step out of the sidewalk, and then this guy didn't know that he has to pass first, but they did have some emoji there, and then they look happy, and they get stuck there happily. And then the passerbys were like, "Oh, they're happily stuck there forever," right? And I think it's going to happen that we're going to see whether it's humanoids or transportation or mall robots, delivery and so on, having more of these cues of communication, and maybe that going into other transport, the new cyber cabs and whatever is going to come, other ways of communicating. It's very, very important. Entertaining as well, right? I don't know what the boundaries are there, right? But it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm excited.
The future.
I want to go and build something right now.
The future. Well, and we're building it, and faster than we think, right? Robots are. The movie Ratatouille starts with the chef. The TV and Ratatouille that watches the movie and says like, everybody can be a chef, right? So I think everybody can be a roboticist. Everybody can be a content creator, right? I'm an educator first of all, and that's what we try to do, right? Bring the creativity, and even if somebody is not, not very productive in being creative, now we're augmenting those people to be creative by providing all these apps and tools and then making a machine as well, right? As we see more open source movements and making robots so it's available to everyone. It's really empowering, youngsters, companies to do companies, right? Is here in Austin, Texas.
Yes,
this is really a fantastic place to start a company. Whoever is listening to that, I invite everyone to make more and more with the DNA of these places. And fortunately, it's more affordable than other places around the country, and tax laws are a little bit more friendly towards making a startup. So I'm sure you guys we all are going to inspire lots of people in content creation, in the machine itself, in factories and so on of the future.
And I'm gonna do a shout out to HiCam. If you have just a little bit of money at all, you can move to Austin and start something in HiCam. You don't need a huge lab or anything. And I talked with Marcus the other day.
Incubation.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then community. You have all the other people there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have the home. They're gonna put their own marketing room, and they have podcasting rooms, and they have all this stuff. Yeah. I'm very, very excited for them.
Bring the fun, and I always say that making a company is about the community, because I tell people, forget about the money. That is, one hand is the creative part of it, the IP that you guys talk about, and the other hand is meeting interesting people.
Yes,
just like yourself, right? And every person that you meet, doesn't matter how young, where they are in their stage, is a very interesting person. And that person one thing I learned in my career is that doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the background. They all have an opportunity of doing terrific, tremendous things. So you are in front of a very important person, no matter what the stage in their career they are.
I love that.
Everybody's got a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Just turn them loose.
Cool. Before, I don't know, you're a busy guy, and we'll have to get you back to your little boat. Um, I had one last question that I was intrigued when I was doing research for this podcast. And you went to college in Barcelona, 92, around that time period, or the
Well,
90s.
yeah, from the 90 to 95, yes.
Yeah. And when I was researching what was happening during that time, it was just crazy. You had left a dictatorship, had just ended, and art and creativity and just like dreaming in Spain just like took off. Um, and I was just curious about you and how that those years living from where Spain was going into this inspired you and it brought you into where you are today.
Good point, right? I don't think I'm a child of the I really have captured been sort of absorbed the post World War II civil war of Spain, even the dictatorship. I was, to me, when this was all the past, right? The dictatorship finished in 1975.
Yeah.
Barcelona was always a very progressive society. So, from the mid 1960s, there was a lot of the kind of the 60s flavor to Spain, right? So I didn't really absorb or felt I was constrained by any of these oppression. So I was born in a very, very free environment, and free of thinking. And fortunately, I have parents that were very supportive. My father was a business and a lawyer later in life. And then himself, I think he had some regrets on he followed a lot of his parents themselves of what they were doing, and he sort of didn't explore as much as he wanted. And he was a very generous person, so he always told me, do whatever you want. Really, it's like like humanoids, do humanoids, right? And then the 1970s manga in Spain was big, right? And probably here as well, right? So we had the mechas and the robots, and they were appearing everywhere. So I grew up. I think I was talking to my uncle the other day. He's like, when you were already like a little kid, you were already drawing robots and drawing space machines and so on, right? But what happened when I came here is that it became a reality. The first company I joined was in Silicon Valley. It was a spin-off from Motorola. It was doing automation. Robotics didn't exist in the US. Point. There was Adet Systems, and then there was the Kelly Tankard and the Applied Materials. That was robotics here. And then there was the Japanese Fanuc and the Stavli and the ABBs, which were foreign robots, right?
Yes.
There was zero interest in robotics in the US, but there was a lot of interest in automation. And that gave me a first exposure. And then fortunately, we have this incredible university in the United States. And really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the first ones. You take the first 50 universities in the US and colleges, and they are all, out of this world. I'm thinking about the future, and the software is terrific, and thinking big, and what AIs and autonomy and human-robot interaction and human-computer interaction can do.
Yeah.
So when I went to, Prime College in California, I was like, and now I can think whatever I want, right? And that was between the company in Silicon Valley, and I was in Berkeley for a while taking summer courses, and then I got a fellowship, and I went to Stanford, but any university really, right? Here in Austin, the same thing, right? Is I was wild to think, and I want to make humanoids, and nobody's going to stop me, and I make a career, and I made money. One of the wildest dreams started in 1998, writing an entire PhD thesis on humanoid robots, how they would be used for elderly care, for instance, and how the controls. to today talking about entertainment and talking about avatars at $3,000 a piece, right? So I'm really very thankful to the United States. I'm of course a U.S. citizen, naturalized for many years, but I'm also a Spanish citizen. I also thank Spain. There was a lot of freedom to think in Spain. I continue thinking that. I think there's a lot of myth about Europe being in a bad shape. I think there's a lot of creativity. It's just a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And something I took away today big time was, I think Corey and Blake and I, we started this podcast as an invitation into robotics, to be in robotics. And talking with you, and I really felt like this is giving people permission. And I think there's a big difference between that. There's a higher calling, and like join the community. Like, you, no matter where you are, you have permission to join. And I think it's a very powerful message.
Yeah, thank you for making this point. Thank you, Blake, Corey. Thank you, Joel. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
I hope to see you guys very soon.
Yeah. Yep. Fantastic.
Thank you, Dr. Sentis.
Yep.
Oh, hang on. We got our standard outro. Joel, do you want to do it?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'll do it. If you are a builder, if you are a creator, or if you are someone who wants to enable the next generation of storytelling and immersive experiences, please reach out to us. We would love to have you join our community. And our job is to make those opportunities happen and put the right people in the right places. And build an inclusive environment for this to proliferate across the world, because we don't think this is for just the big companies. We think it's for everyone. Yeah.
Well said.
Hear, hear.
Thanks, everybody. Tune in next time.